The third center of consciousness, the power center, or the solar plexus. The last of the lower centers of consciousness that can never provide you with quote unquote enough is the power center. Most of the people in the world are addicted to these lower three centers: the security, the sensation, and the power centers. The attempt to find happiness through the power center is definitively a step forward in the growth towards higher consciousness. When you are operating from the power center, you will have more energy and you will interact with more people. But these will still be subject object interactions in which people either cooperate with your power games or they threaten them. In this center, life is a series of competitive moves and counter moves. What do you strive for on the third center or the third level of consciousness? Is it money? Is money as a method of wielding power rather than money as a form of security? Is it prestige? Because the more prestige you have, the more you can manipulate others. Do your power addictions keep you preoccupied with external symbols such as a modern car, an attractive home, fashionable clothes, etc.? Or have you up leveled the game to internal status symbols such as knowledge and lots of hobbies so that others perceive you as an interesting, achieving person? Or perhaps sex has now become the power game for you, whereby you enjoy sex with multiple people, not only for the sensations, but also as a challenge to your power center. Do you seek the sexual partner who is the hardest to attract because of the ego challenge? Have you ever noticed that the people who are the most successful in the power game are simply living a hollow life with external evidences of worldly success, but without really winning inside in terms of peace, serenity, and oneness with others? It often happens that the more successful a person becomes on the outside, the less successful he or she is on the inside. Anxiety, ulcers, and heart disease tend to increase with external quote unquote success. To the degree that your moment to moment consciousness is biased, or rather based, on security, sensations, and power, you are trapped in the lower consciousness folkway of our culture. You are not finding enough in life to be happy for. You are ready for your next step toward higher consciousness when you deeply realize the utter futility of trying to make it in life using these lower consciousness levels. This does not necessarily mean that you must drastically change your external activities. For what you renounce is your addictive demands and not necessarily the things you are doing. For example, it is not money or sex that causes unhappiness. It is your addictive demands for money or sex. It is the clanging of your emotion backed circuits in your biocomputer that keeps you disappointed, frustrated, and suffering if the happenings outside you do not exactly correspond to your inside programs. Thus, you do not renounce your worldly activities, for it's all here for you to enjoy. You renounce your emotion backed demands, which keep you from enjoying the bountiful life that has always been available around you. It is easy to see the more obvious power games involving money, political power, status symbols, people bossing each other around, etc. But it is helpful to be aware of the more subtle power games we play. For instance, it is clear that someone talking in a loud voice may be trying to control people, but a power game may also be present when someone talks in an unusually soft voice that makes people be quiet and listen hard if they are to be heard. Someone who is constantly ordering people around and who forcefully insists that people accept his or her opinion can be coming from the power center. However, someone who is always quiet can be subtly manipulating by his or her quote unquote sweet acceptance and you always know best attitude. This type of subtle manipulation makes one put energy into extracting what someone else really wants. This game creates a subject object type of separateness. We might ask ourselves, what do I get? Or what do I do to get what I want? What masks do I wear? And what part of the drama do I play? You have hundreds of things in your head that you are now protecting as a part of your personal boundaries and social position. You will grow in happiness as you gradually realize that all of this stuff is not who you really are. It's just ego backed programming that you picked up on your way to where you are now. Your energy will enormously increase and your sleep needs decrease as you give up guarding the various manifestations of your security, sensation, and power addictions. One of the bonuses of higher consciousness is that when you give it all up, you get it all back. What you give up are your inner addictive demands, and what you get back is more of everything that you need in order to be happy. As you grow into the fourth center of consciousness, you will find that you have all the power you need in your life. In fact, you will have more than you need, for your unconditional acceptance of everyone around you will open doors that you could have never opened when you operated from the third center of consciousness. When you approach life with power addictions, you will be instantly resisted by the power addictions of other people. Instead of opening themselves to help you get what you want, they close themselves and are automatically antagonistic to your power thrusts which threaten them. As you grow into the higher centers of consciousness, you will begin to experience an effectiveness that you could never attain when you were shoving from the third center, trying to bulldoze life into giving you what you thought you needed for happiness. Some of the most dramatic performances of your ego and your rational mind will be triggered at the power center. Some methods of consciousness growth treat the ego and the rational mind as enemies to be destroyed. In the living love way, we regard the ego and the rational mind as friends that are really actually here to help us. But they can be like ignorant friends who hurt us as often as they help us. Helpfulness requires both skill and understanding. Our egos and rational minds are often like the well-meaning neighbor who sees his friend lying in the street with a broken spine after being hit by a car. When he picks him up to take him to the hospital, the broken spine crushes the spinal nerves so that his friend will never walk again. In trying to help, the neighbor ignorantly damages his friend. Similarly, when our egos and rational minds use lower consciousness programming, they continually keep our lives from working in ways that produce optimal enjoyment. The living love way does not try to kill your ego or your rational mind. Since they are our friends, they would like to help us. We engage them to help us root out our addictions and uplevel them to preferences. We realize that our egos trigger a feeling of uneasiness when the outside world does not fit our addictive models of how it should be. They also give us a flush of pleasure when the outside world does fit our addictions. In either case, we need our egos to survive and give us the emotional experiences that enable us to become aware of our addictive demands and to understand the heavy price that we pay for all of them sooner or later if they are not reprogrammed into preferences. The goal is not to kill your ego, but to retire it due to lack of work. If you killed your ego, you might retreat into a schizoid type shell that would keep you from enjoying the beautiful things of life that life offers you. Your ego has a vital part to play in revealing to you the addictions that have yet to be worked on. When you reprogram your addictions, your ego will automatically stop triggering negative emotions that interfere with your happiness. So welcome your ego, watch its operation, and use it as a necessary part of you that will give you the experiences you need in order to grow into higher consciousness.